You belong here. You know, it was such a simple phrase. Heard it in a yoga class the other day. I've been really digging into yoga lately, trying to sort out some old injuries. And, well, stepping into anything new physically, it often brings up that feeling, right? Being a bit of a beginner, clumsy even. So when the instructor said, "You belong here," and then she actually repeated it, it just really resonated. I don't know if she saw me like completely flailing through crow pose or maybe just felt it needed saying, but bam, it hit me. And it just echoed so many other moments in my life. Moving to Massachusetts from LA as a kid, total culture shock. Or later, walking onto a competitive college rowing team, even navigating the corporate world, there was always this kind of persistent feeling. Fish out of water. I even remember this one interview claiming it was my lifelong dream to be a data analyst. It was so obvious. Square peg, round hole. It's just that constant sensation, not quite fitting in, even when you've worked really hard, achieve some success. So it makes me wonder, and I have to ask you listening, have you ever felt that way? Like you're kind of on the outside looking in, even in situations where you've absolutely worked to earn your spot?
Well, absolutely. That yoga class moment you shared,
Mm.
it really resonates. And it brings us straight to, well, a core insight from our sources today. This feeling of not belonging, imposter syndrome, as it's often called, it's genuinely a universal human thing. And what's fascinating, really, is that it often hits the highest achievers the hardest. They mistake genuine learning curves, maybe skill gaps, for some kind of fundamental inadequacy, which kind of raises a big question, doesn't it? What do you think is the biggest mental barrier that makes us feel we don't belong, even when objectively the evidence says we do?
That's a fantastic question. And yeah, that's exactly what we're here to unpack today. We're taking a deep dive into sources that explore not just, what we do, but maybe more critically, how we think about what we do
Hmm.
and how those internal stories, those narratives, they fundamentally shape our whole journey. So our mission in this deep dive, it's really to pull out compelling insights on motivation, mindset, and importantly, practical action. Things that can genuinely transform how you approach challenges, opportunities, everything really.
Absolutely. And we'll explore how even the smallest shifts in perspective, maybe just reframing a challenge or seeing a routine task differently, how that can have such a profound impact. This deep dive is really going to offer you strategies to move from just kind of doing the thing to truly being the person or professional you aspire to be.
Okay, so let's kick things off. Let's look at something we all navigate every single day, our motivations, right? And also the art of, well, effective communication. Our sources show that even really complex situations, like in a professional setting, they're driven by these distinct internal forces. And they benefit hugely from crystal clear interactions. Think about how different motivations play out, even just within a project team. So you might have one team member, let's call him Alan. He's putting in long hours on some tedious compliance report. Seems like it's just about the deadline, right? But the real driver, maybe unspoken, is he wants to gain the trust of his senior manager. He knows this manager values meticulousness, and Alan, he really covets this challenging new leadership role. So it's that intrinsic ambition driving what looks like an extrinsic task. Then contrast that with, say, Billy. He needs to finalize his part of the quarterly business review presentation, like super fast and accurately. Not because he loves it, It's because he procrastinated last week, and now he's desperate to avoid the stress, the public scrutiny of missing his deadline. So that's motivation purely driven by avoiding a negative consequence. And then maybe there's Seema. She only agrees to take on the, let's say, less glamorous data analysis part of her project if her contribution gets explicitly recognized in the final presentation. Just like her peer, Susie. And she's also worried Susie might cherry pick all the high visibility tasks. So that highlights external recognition, fairness concerns. It's all mixed in there.
Right. And what these diverse scenarios really show us is that why we do something often matters just as much, maybe even more, than what we actually do. Understanding those underlying motivators, are they internal like ambition, external like recognition, is absolutely key. Key to our effectiveness and also our satisfaction, really, in anything we pursue. It's about seeing those hidden currents flowing beneath the surface actions.
Yeah, exactly. And building on that, our sources then pivot. They offer this kind of masterclass in effective communication, especially for navigating complex professional stuff. Think about coordinating some big cross-departmental initiative. It's all about clear, concise communication, isn't it? Confirming the project timeline, okay, end of Q3. The scope got to include both sales and marketing data. Necessary inputs, okay, legal doesn't need to add anything new, but yeah, they've offered to review the final draft, great. And the output format. a slide deck, and a one-page exec summary. It leaves no room for ambiguity, no guessing games about what's expected. Or just think about seeking information in a really fast-paced environment. Maybe you need to quickly grasp some complex regulatory change hitting your business. How do you ask your question to get precise, actionable insights from the expert without, like, totally overwhelming them or wasting their time? Our sources give examples of these direct, impactful questions and, importantly, helpful, succinct answers. It's like asking for specific data during a client presentation, right? Could you just confirm the Q2 growth on slide 17, and which demographic does that represent? Quick, clear. And managing critical stuff, business appointments, travel logistics. Think about the efficiency needed, booking that key client meeting. Confirming the VP, Laura Benson, is available 3 p.m. Noted that the CEO, Dr. Smith, is usually punctual. Good info. Or handling a complex international trip check-in. Okay, Executive Assistant Linda secured the double room, 5th floor, room 502, City View. Breakfast 7:10 a.m., ground floor, gym 2nd floor, 6 a.m., 10 p.m. All nailed down. And then the checkout. Confirming with Alex. 11 a.m. checkout. Okay, breakfast till 9 a.m., buffet, taxi pre-booked 11:30. Bag storage available. Done.
Right. And if we zoom out a bit,
Yeah.
these seemingly small, everyday interactions, when you apply them to bigger contexts, they reveal something pretty profound.
Yep.
Clear communication, proactively setting expectations, offering targeted help. These are genuinely foundational. That attention to detail, that strategic engagement, it doesn't just smooth our paths day to day. It builds stronger, more effective connections. And ultimately, it drives better outcomes in any environment, really.
Okay. So moving from those practicalities, motivation, communication, to something, well, maybe a bit more profound, our sources really dive into the huge impact of our mindset, where we choose to put our energy. And going back to that feeling I mentioned earlier, that not belonging thing, whether it was adjusting to a new city, navigating a tough academic program. I was a political sci major, felt totally out of my depth sometimes, or later in the corporate world, feeling like that square peg. It was just this constant theme, this sense of being an outsider.
And that personal journey you described, it really underscores a crucial insight from the sources we looked at. Merely doing the thing, whatever the thing is, it often isn't enough for real fulfillment. True fulfillment, they suggest, comes when you give yourself permission to belong, permission to truly be the thing you're striving for. It's a really powerful call to commit fully, to kind of transform from looking up at others to actually being one of them. Life, as the sources remind us, it's just too short to constantly feel like you're on the outside looking in. Can you think of an area where you consciously gave yourself that permission? And how did that shift things for you?
That's a really good question. For me, I think it actually happened with this very deep dive we're doing. It's about not just doing the research, ticking the boxes, but actually being the curious guide, fully owning this role. And that idea, giving yourself permission, it connects so deeply to where we choose to place our spotlight in life. Or, as one source puts it really vividly, what you water grows.
Indeed. Yeah, consider that spotlight analogy. It's powerful. Humanity put a spotlight, an intense focus, on going to the moon, and achieved it, think about this, within 100 years of mostly horse and buggy travel, an incredible feat driven by focused intention. And the same principle applies to our personal goals. This isn't just about passive focus either. It's understanding that our attention isn't just a passive filter. It's an active catalyst. The insight is to consciously direct that catalyst. So if we genuinely want to, say, increase our net worth, we start checking our bank accounts daily. We pay attention, want YouTube channel growth. We monitor the metrics constantly. We analyze. The principle is pretty simple, really. Intentional focus drives results. If you're not putting energy and resources there consistently, well, you most likely won't win. Simple as that.
And that leads perfectly into another really powerful idea from our sources. Viewing today as a gift. That perspective shift. It just profoundly changes how we see things, moving away from obligation toward, well, boundless opportunity.
Exactly. When we see today as just something mandated, something expected, like another item on an endless to-do list, our actions tend to become about minimizing risk or just blending in, playing it safe. But when we genuinely realize today is a gift, maybe like a choose-your-own-ending story, as one source put it, we approach it differently, with freedom, with curiosity. We actively look to capitalize on all to be gained. It's about choosing to be the hero in your own story, not just, an extra in the background. Because as our sources beautifully state, life isn't just a giant to-do list. It's a giant get-to, a boundless opportunity to choose your path every single day.
It's so easy, though, isn't it, to get caught up waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect set of circumstances. But our sources argue pretty strongly that life rewards action, even, maybe especially, imperfect action. Which brings us to this great concept they call the law of broken crayons. I remember being a kid, reaching into the crayon box, grabbing a color, and it's like, cracked, broken in half. Always had other colors smudged on the wrapper. But did we care? No, we just grabbed it and used what we had, right? Life, our sources say, is like that crayon box. It rarely gives us pristine, perfect tools. It gives us fragments, the pieces, the blueprints, and basically tells us, yep, these will work, go.
Yeah, and that really highlights a fascinating insight, doesn't it? The outcome depends less on the instrument and more on the artist holding it. The insight isn't just using the broken tools, it's realizing that the brokenness itself, that imperfection, often forces a kind of creative problem solving, a kind you wouldn't get with perfect tools. It can lead to unexpected breakthroughs. Think about responses to criticism. Someone struggles, internalizes, "you suck." Then you've got a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, using that exact same phrase to ignite an "I'll show you" fire. Starting a new business. It's likened to running a marathon out of shape and getting yourself into shape along the way. You don't wait till you're fit to start. The pieces you have right now, they are enough for that necessary first step. Because, as the sources aptly put it, having everything is wildly different than having enough. You just need enough to start.
Which brings us right to this idea of violent execution now. It's a powerful concept, echoed by General George Patton's famous quote, "A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week."
It speaks so directly to that fallacy, that trap of waiting for everything to be perfect.
Right. And stepping back, why is now better? Because perfection, as our sources frame it, it's often just a con. It's a scam. It's usually just hiding the fear of actually starting. And violent execution, it's not about being reckless. It's about the intensity, the immediacy of your commitment once a decision is made. Overriding that tendency we all have to endlessly refine, tweak, delay. Greatness isn't born perfect. It's forged through repetition, through wheels on the road, getting going. You learn by falling down, feeling embarrassed sometimes, getting back up, making adjustments. It's the friction, the resistance, that's what actually shapes the journey. You don't get to skip the ugly stuff. That's where the learning happens. And that leads straight into the absolute necessity of persistence. That Thomas Edison quote really drives it home, doesn't it? Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Oof.
Exactly. Such a powerful reminder. Progress. Real progress. It's a journey of little steps. Tiny actions repeated. It's rarely about making one single grand leap. It's about carrying on, just refusing to back down, especially when it gets tough. Even in those moments of self-doubt, maybe feeling like a loser after a setback. The only way to truly fail, fundamentally, is to quit. It's about continuously going, just putting one foot in front of the other, trusting that eventually, one day the world will start to make sense.
Okay, so with all this focus on action, on persistence, how do we make sure we're actually moving in the right direction? Well, our sources really emphasize the power of clarity, of identifying your own personal North Star. As one source puts it quite beautifully, I think, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. When life gets overly complex, cluttered, we often lose sight of what's truly necessary, what really matters to us. Simple questions like, who is Eddie Pinero? Which is really asking, who am I at my core? Or what does my perfect day actually look like? They seem simple, but they're often the hardest to answer, honestly. Yet they're absolutely crucial for defining your own kingdom. That kingdom being, your core values, your non-negotiables, the unique space where you have real agency and can make your biggest impact.
And that raises a really important point, doesn't it? If you don't take the time to answer those simple but deep questions, how do you know where you're going? It reminds me of that dialogue in Alice in Wonderland, right? If you don't care where you go, any road will take you there.
Yeah.
It just reinforces that deliberate choice, conscious direction, not just vague hope, is what gets you to a destination that truly lights you up and excites you. Taking that time to simplify, to actively remove the unnecessary, that's a tremendous advantage, an advantage many people overlook in their constant pursuit of just more.
And this also connects, I think, to overcoming envy. Instead of just envying others who seem to have it figured out, the advice from the sources is pretty blunt. Become one of them. Go build what they have if that's what you truly want. And stop comparing your timeline to theirs. That famous saying, the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Start now. Your past detours, those things you might regret. Believe it or not, our sources suggest they were actually the way. They got you here.
It's also quite striking how our sources talk about spotting unconventional value others might miss. Take the Jason Tatum NBA draft example. Pretty interesting. The Celtics GM, Danny Ainge, he had the #1 overall pick, huge advantage, but he made this bold move. He traded down to get the player projected third. Jason Tatum, because he saw superstar potential that maybe others were overlooking. And crucially, he gained extra draft value in the trade itself. It was about seeing real value where others perhaps just disregarded it, focusing on his own assessment, not just the consensus hype. It's about discerning what's actually valuable, not just what everyone thinks is valuable.
Oh, that's a great example. And here's another powerful one of finding hidden value: Kobe Bryant's morning routine. While most people, most competitors even, saw the early morning as just, time to ease into the day, Kobe saw it completely differently. He saw it as an opportunity, an extra 2 hours of focused work every single day. And that wasn't just a one-off thing. That compounded year after year into this untouchable level of excellence against his competition. He saw the immense value in those early hours when others just saw sleep, maybe? He turned ordinary time into extraordinary advantage.
Right. And the broader implication here, it ties so directly to Peter Drucker's famous statement: what gets measured gets improved. Lengthway. The YouTube subscriber tracking example illustrates this perfectly. By simply starting to measure daily net subscribers, just looking at the number each day, the speaker instantly gained awareness and motivation, asking, wait, why can't this happen every day? And that awareness led directly to finding tactical tools, strategies to actually improve performance. Now, this isn't about becoming obsessed with numbers for their own sake, not at all. It's about using awareness fueled by measurement to drive purposeful action. Because, as the source says, your increased awareness and attention dedicated to any pursuit will make you more effective. It's about harnessing data, using it to get better.
So, to really harness all this potential, we obviously need courage. Courage to be bold, to take risks, and maybe crucially, to trust in our ability to adapt, to rebuild if things don't go perfectly. Our sources share this really fascinating concept. Freedom lies in being bold. They actually detail this parasite, T. gondii, found in wolves. Apparently, it makes them bolder, and this boldness leads to higher rates of them leaving their birth families, becoming pack leaders, and often being the only ones in the pack who actually get to breed.
Okay, now while that's obviously not directly analogous to humans, it does highlight an interesting principle, doesn't it? That boldness looks drastically different for everyone, right? It could be traveling more, taking on a big project, leaving a bad situation, or maybe just forcing yourself out of bed on a tough day. That boldness seems directly linked to achieving increased results that supersede what we have now.
The core idea is you simply don't get more without giving more, without stretching yourself. And if you never leave your current situation, never embrace any risk, well, then failure to grow is pretty much a certainty, isn't it? Yeah, it really challenges that common protection mindset we often default to, trying to just protect what we have. There's this powerful story from a mastermind group in our sources where someone said something like, stop looking at our businesses like it's the only business we'll ever have. The real power and strength is in our ability to build again.
That raises such an important question. What truly holds the enduring value? Is it the thing you've built? Or is it you, the person who built it? Our sources really emphasize this builder's mindset. The true value resides in the builder, not the built. Think about it. If everything tangible were taken away tomorrow, those people with an abundance mindset, with the builder mentality, they'd reacquire it. Why? Because they understand how to fish. They know how to create, how to innovate, how to build from scratch. And here's the thing. Most actions, most decisions, they're reversible. You can usually course correct, but roads never walked, opportunities never taken. Those are not reversible, which is precisely why you must take calculated risks. It's about developing the ability to bend and shape the word normal like it's clay, to not be constrained by current reality.
So wrapping this section up, what does all this mean for the impact of the hard thing? The challenges, the pain, the setbacks we all face. Our sources argue these aren't just obstacles to be avoided. They're actually a kind of transaction. It's like paying the price of turbulence for the incredible view above the clouds, or enduring fear in the moment for lasting confidence in the future.
And one really striking takeaway here is how it aligns with the optimist's view. Churchill famously said it right. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. These hard things, these difficulties, they're often opportunities in disguise. They provide the exact ingredients required for growth. And by facing them, by working through them, we're effectively given everything on the other side. It's about seeing challenge not as a dead end, but as a gateway to something better.
Wow, okay. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've journeyed from really understanding the subtle drivers behind our daily actions, all the way to embracing a mindset that sees every single challenge as a potential opportunity. We've explored how intentionality, that unwavering persistence, and just a willingness to be bold, even when you feel like you've only got broken crayons to work with, how those things can truly redefine our realities. And we've learned that maybe your ultimate potential isn't tied to what you currently possess, but rather to your inherent ability to build, to grow, to adapt.
And as we heard earlier, that powerful phrase, what gets measured gets improved. So this really prompts a crucial question for you listening right now. Where will you choose to place your spotlight going forward? What goals will you consciously set for yourself, truly knowing that you have profound control over so much? Your mindset, how you allocate your precious time, your morning routine, your gratitude practice, your willingness to truly listen, your commitment to learning, your social circle, how you treat others, and those very goals themselves. You control all of that.
Our sources leave us with these powerful reminders. Time waits for no one, and maybe most importantly, today is not an obligation, today is a gift. The real adversary, they suggest, is simply an unwillingness to make the most of your moments. So, knowing that deep down you are already equipped to emerge victorious, equipped to truly be the person you aspire to be. What one bold step, maybe even a small one, will you choose to take now, today, to fully embrace the miracle that is your life?